What if nothing in your life is contradictory and you're just trying to force it into something smaller than it is? What if the reason that things feel heavy sometimes is not because you're lost, but because you're resisting the complexity of your own experience? There is something really powerful about life when we try to stop organizing and categorizing everything into these neat, tiny little perfect categories, and we accept that life isn't just black and white, and things aren't just black and white, because life has never worked that way. We are meant to hold two truths at the same time. And the faster we do that, the faster our life becomes easier. And I'm speaking from my own experience because I feel like I've sort of started to accept the duality of life recently, again, and working on myself in that way again. And things truly started to shift. And that's why I wanted to share in today's podcast. Because nothing is black and white. And we have emotions, right? Which are energy in motion. It's supposed to move. It's supposed to shift. Our emotions are not supposed to be black and white or only one thing at a time. That's why it's energy in motion, because it's constantly moving and shifting, right? Sort of like the sea or the ocean and the waves in it. It can be still and calm one moment, and then it can completely shift and change into a huge storm the next. And the only thing you can do is to wait it out, right? You can allow it to happen. You can allow it to pass. And that's what you should allow yourself with your emotions also. You should allow them to flow through you. And you should allow them to sort of pass and move like the energy in motion, right? So next time you have a negative thought, that maybe you compare yourself to somebody because you think they are better than you, don't judge it. Don't try to explain it or just logically understand it. And don't shame yourself for it, because it's not gonna help you to feel better. The only way and the only thing that can help you to feel better is to accept that these emotions exist and that you are feeling them right now, but they are just passing through you, right? They are not you. They don't define you. And I think that's often the mistakes that we might make. For example, especially with the negative emotions. I've also done it in the past, especially like jealousy, for example. I think I'm gonna get to that later, but also emotions push us into directions. But for example, jealousy. When you see somebody that you think, again, logically you're trying to explain it, you see somebody maybe doing better than you, or maybe being selected from an open call that you haven't gotten selected, or I don't know, they are talking to somebody that you like and you get jealous, and immediately you jump to this logical explanation, trying to over-explain and overthink and connect all the dots, about that person, so that you can explain it to yourself, like, this is why I feel jealous, because they're better than me and they are successful and I'm a failure. And that's when judgment comes in, because you are now trying to explain your emotion with your logic, but that's not how it's gonna pass through you and how you're gonna help yourself to feel better, right? Instead, what you should do, I think, is to accept this feeling of, okay, I feel jealous. Why? Because I've seen somebody who I think is doing better, but I'm just experiencing this emotion, but it doesn't mean that that's the ultimate truth. You don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know if they are doing better or worse. And again, nothing's black and white. So I think life is so complex. What does it mean, better or worse, right? Or success or failure. That's such a personal thing. So accept that you have or experience this emotion right now, so that it can pass through you. And maybe also pay attention to these emotions without judgment. Don't judge yourself for having bad emotions like anger or jealousy or even sadness or grief. I know sometimes we might feel like, why am I feeling such grief about something that happened when I shouldn't have? Who says you shouldn't? You can feel whatever you need to feel, and it's not gonna pass unless you accept it and allow it to simply pass through you. Maybe your grief just meant that you deeply cared about something that you haven't thought you cared so much about, actually. And another layer or wisdom we can learn from our emotions is it always points us in the right direction. So we should listen, right? Because, for example, if we are jealous, it means that maybe this other person, in our own perception, of course, has something that we want to have. You know, there is maybe a desire that's unfulfilled in us. Or if there is resentment or anger, maybe somebody's just overstepping our boundaries, or we are not respecting our own boundaries. So truly listen to your emotions and to that gut feeling that you have. And I know that it's not always easy to live in alignment, especially when I think you're so blessed with life, like I feel right now, where I have a lot of opportunities actually, but sometimes I am the one that doesn't respect my own boundaries most of the time, because I think I grew up in a family that had a lot of expectations for me, and I was so scared to disappoint them that I wouldn't respect my boundaries. So even though I was tired, or I had enough, or I want to do something else, I would still say yes to things. And literally today, something happened, and I don't know why, I felt like, I'm awake, you know. I applied for a festival to exhibit my art piece at the Rooted Festival in June. And it was so amazing, and the people were so kind there. I'm so super, super grateful actually for them. And you don't always meet such beautiful people, right, that are so good for your nervous system. But I talked to them and they wanted to exhibit, and then we just started talking about the logistics, and suddenly I felt internally this kind of tired feeling of maybe resentment, maybe anger, I don't know. You know, when you kind of say yes, but at the same time you feel like, I don't really want to do it, but then you feel like, but I don't have a good reason to say no, like I'm not sick, I'm not working too much, blah blah. But who is here to judge or to say how much you should do or how you should feel? Oh my god, who is here to tell you how you should feel? Nobody else than you. So listen to yourself and don't ignore yourself, and especially don't judge yourself, because any reason is a good reason enough. So if simply you don't have the energy or you want to do something else, it's a valid reason. And just to finish the story, what happened is I started talking logistics about the transport and how to install the piece and where it should be, blah, blah, blah. And I started having this feeling like, oh my God, maybe I actually don't want to do it because I'm kind of stressed right now, and it feels kind of like, it's just adding more buzz to this buzzing stress feeling of my nervous system, if it makes sense. That's how I feel. Like I have this really buzzing feeling inside, when I get stressed. And so I opened up and I said, look, I really want to do this and I wish I could exhibit it. But I'm also really worried that maybe it's not the right time now because I have other responsibilities and I need to think of all the other logistics, and maybe something will go wrong with the piece because 2 weeks before this festival I'm actually like testing it with like a live audience for the first time. So I don't know if something goes wrong, if I have enough time to fix it and whatnot. So it's just a bit afraid that maybe it's not the right time. And like if I said something like this to my family or my parents, probably would be like, what, you have enough time? And they wouldn't listen really. But here is what I learned, or what I'm learning still, to be honest. People don't know what's going on inside your head. Sorry, I have to laugh because that's the song, this funny meme of what is going on inside their head. Okay, anyways, that was a very big side note, but people don't know what's on your mind, and if you don't tell them, they will not know what's on your mind. And that's something like I learned, and I'm still learning the hard way, because I am so afraid to disappoint people or be judged that I'm scared to be honest. Simple as that. So very often I kind of maybe overcommit even though I don't want to do things, and then end up in a situation that I'm like, no, why don't they understand? Which is so stupid. So stupid from me to expect other people to understand how I feel, or to expect other people to see that maybe I'm taking too much work. Nobody knows your life better than you, and nobody knows your capacity better than you, and nobody understands your emotions better than you. So listen to yourself and live your truth and respect your boundaries, because it's only you that can make yourself live in an alignment. So be brave enough to voice your truth and say when you don't like something, or say when it's too much, and just be honest. I know that it's difficult, I know that it's scary, but it's the fastest way to solution, to be honest. It's to be honest. And if you are afraid, you can always ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen? What is the worst thing that can happen? Maybe somebody's not gonna listen. Maybe somebody's gonna get upset or hurt or disappointed. But you are responsible for yourself, not for their emotions. And I'm not saying you should intentionally hurt somebody, but if you hurt somebody, if you disappoint somebody because you voiced your truth, or if you made somebody upset because they didn't respect your boundaries, that's on them. That's not on you. So truly don't be afraid to voice out your truth and live aligned in that way, because nobody can understand what's going on in your body and what is on your mind except you. And the earlier you are honest with other people about that, the faster you're gonna get to solutions, and the faster you're gonna have easier life. So be brave enough, because life rewards the brave ones, and you don't have to be afraid to say your truth, Because if you look back and think about the times you were truly, truly honest with people and said no despite being afraid, or rejected somebody, or changed your mind despite your belief that you have to be perfect, and if you say yes the first time, it has to be yes forever, what's the worst thing that happened? What's the worst thing that happened? So wouldn't you risk it again and live your truth? That's all from me for now. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that it inspired you at least a little bit to live your truth and live in alignment, and be honest with people and yourself, especially yourself. And I wish you a beautiful start of the day and beautiful start of the week. And I look very much forward to see you in the next episode of Artist Mindset. Bye.